On the savanna, not every bold move leads to victory. Hyenas often advance with confidence built up from previous successes. But when circumstances change, familiar advantages can quickly become risks. The following confrontations show that, in nature, misunderstanding an opponent sometimes costs survival. Hyenas are known for their unmistakable confidence in every movement. An adult can weigh up to 140 pounds, with jaws strong enough to handle tough food sources. Their familiar experiences on the savanna have reinforced their habit of moving forward instead of waiting. But nature rarely maintains a steady rhythm. When circumstances change, that sense of certainty begins to fade. Space becomes more cramped, the silence lengthens. An individual approaches too closely, not out of urgent need, but because they haven't yet recognized the change. The opponent remains calm. The steadiness, coupled with its superior size of over 1,500 pounds, gradually creates an invisible pressure. At this point, the hyena clearly senses the pace is no longer under its control. It quietly moves away. The confrontation ends silently. The hyena keeps its distance, adjusting to a safer position. That's not a sign of weakness, but a necessary decision. In nature, long-term survival belongs to those who recognize when to stop. African elephants are the largest living creatures on the savanna. An adult can weigh thousands of pounds, their size and strength creating an overwhelming presence. But what truly keeps elephants safe isn't just their massive size, but their close-knit herd structure. A pack of hyenas doesn't target adult elephants. They target the calf at the edge of the formation with clearly defined roles: chase, block, and disrupt. Their rapid movements are aimed at putting pressure on the herd and forcing it to separate. The elephant's reaction is immediate. The adults quickly form a defensive barrier, surrounding the calf. When the mother elephant turns around, her roar is powerful enough to change the course of events. The approach ends in moments. The hyenas disperse and retreat. The outcome is undeniable. On the savanna, the cohesion of the elephant herd is the ultimate survival barrier. Honey badgers are small but renowned for their tenacity and strong self-defense capabilities. Their low, sturdy bodies and thick skin allow them to withstand pressure much better than many other species. On the savanna, honey badgers often rely not on speed or numbers, but on ferocity. When surrounded by a pack of hyenas, the honey badger doesn't try to run away. It constantly shifts, maintaining a central position and reacting immediately to any individual that gets too close. These decisive actions force the hyenas to keep their distance. A prolonged confrontation doesn't give the hyenas an advantage. The risk increases with each approach. Eventually, the hyena pack gives up and retreats. The encounter ends with the hyenas at a disadvantage. The honey badger stays, not because it has absolute dominance, but because it's not an easy target. On the savanna, the honey badger is a high-risk opponent, not worth the risk. African wild dogs are a species that relies on discipline and close coordination for survival. Each individual weighs only about 40 to 70 pounds, but they always move as part of a unified group. On the savanna, their effectiveness comes from speed, numbers, and the ability to act simultaneously. In a seemingly stable moment, a group of hyenas remains around the remaining food. They maintain a slow, unhurried pace until the silhouette of a pack of wild dogs appears at the edge of the area. From there, the calm quickly gives way to tension as the wild dog formation begins to expand and close in. When a hyena breaks away from its original position, the pack of wild dogs immediately acts. They use speed and pack tactics to continuously apply pressure from multiple directions. The relentless close-range attacks force the hyena to retreat from its advantageous position. The initiative quickly shifts to the wild dog. The confrontation ended with the hyenas at a disadvantage. The pack of wild dogs controlled the area briefly before moving on. This outcome wasn't solely due to collective strength. On the savanna, timing is sometimes just as important as brute force. Lions have long held a central position of power on the savanna. A mature individual can weigh over 400 pounds with a body built for stability, endurance, and positional awareness. Even standing still, its presence is enough to slow the pace of movement around it. A hyena advances, accustomed to challenging familiar opponents. It moves around the perimeter, constantly changing direction, seeking a subtle reaction. Its rapid pace and agility have given it an advantage in many situations before. In a brief moment, the hyena suddenly lunges forward. It's not a decisive move, but merely a test of reflexes intended to force the lion to react. But this time, every movement creates no opening. The lion remains in its position, center of gravity low, gaze fixed. There is no hasty reaction, nor any sign of wavering. The prolonged calm caused the hyena to gradually slow down. The test ended in silence. The hyena retreated, maintaining a safe distance. The lion neither pursued nor changed its position. On the savanna, Survival belongs to those who understand their limits and know when to stop. Cheetahs are notable for their speed and precise control of movement. Their slender, lightweight bodies allow them to complete a hunting process quickly, minimizing the risk of prolonged confrontations. On the savanna, cheetahs typically avoid lengthy confrontations, prioritizing energy conservation and safety. After successfully approaching an antelope, the cheetah pauses to regulate its breathing. The lingering scent in the air quickly attracts the attention of an approaching hyena. The initial stillness turns into alertness. The distance between the two species gradually narrows. The hyena begins to apply pressure, circling around to find an opportunity to approach. The cheetah maintains its position, reacting quickly to maintain a safe distance. Its decisive movements force the hyena to slow down and consider its next move. However, the cheetah does not try to hold onto its food source. Ultimately, it proactively left the area in a safer direction. The hyena did not gain a clear advantage. The outcome was not determined by direct strength. On the savanna, the cheetah prioritizes survival over any short-term gain. African warthogs don't possess overwhelming size, but they are rarely easy opponents to subdue. A mature individual typically weighs between 220 and 330 pounds, is low-slung, sturdy, and maintains a stable center of gravity. On the savanna, their survival depends on quick reflexes and close-range self-defense. A pack of hyenas approached a slow-moving warthog, quickly splitting their formation to apply pressure. They harassed from multiple directions, patiently wearing down their opponent over time. But each time the distance narrowed, the warthog's aggressive reaction and the cramped terrain forced the hyenas to retreat. The approach gradually lost momentum. The warthog maintained a steady pace and retreated in an orderly fashion. The hyenas moved further back, maintaining a safe distance. In nature, not every effort yields results. Sometimes, knowing when to stop is the best way to avoid unnecessary losses.
Approaching, coming in.
Crocodiles are the silent rulers of the savanna rivers. Their low, sturdy bodies are almost immobile when lying close to the water's edge. In their environment, crocodiles don't need to move much to gain an advantage. Initially, the riverbank scene remains familiarly tranquil. A hyena approaches the water's edge, drawn to the scent of food and the seemingly safe surface. Just below the murky water, a crocodile is waiting, and a moment of carelessness instantly shifts the balance.
Coming in.
In the aquatic environment, the balance changes immediately. The crocodile completely controls the space, while the hyena loses its ability to react. There is no escape to regain the initiative. The confrontation ends quickly. The hyena cannot overcome its opponent's environmental advantage. The outcome is clear. Among predators, habitat is often the deciding factor in who wins and who loses. Through each encounter, the savanna shows that there is no absolute superpower. Confidence can open up opportunities, but it can also lead to mistakes when circumstances change. Size, speed, or numbers only matter in the right environment. In nature, the one who survives the longest is the one who understands its limits and chooses the right moment.
In nature, confrontations don't happen out of senseless rage. They stem from territory, food, the right to reproduce, and the instinct to protect life. Moments captured on camera show animals fighting not just with strength, but with limits and choices. These are the most intense confrontations in the wild, where survival is decided in a fleeting moment. Hippopotamuses dominate the waters with absolute composure. Most of the time, they are submerged in rivers and swamps, only their eyes and nostrils visible. An adult hippopotamus can weigh over 3,000 pounds. This size isn't for show, but rather a natural shield against any threat. Hippopotamuses don't hunt. They eat grass, move slowly, and rarely leave the water's edge. This calmness leads many species to underestimate them. But beneath that stillness lies a lightning-fast reflex when their safe space is invaded. On the riverbank, a lioness observes from afar. This isn't a familiar hunt. A hippopotamus is resting near the water's edge. The lioness approaches cautiously. The distance narrows with each step. Each advance tilts the balance toward the hippopotamus. The reaction happens in an instant. The hippopotamus lunges from the water's surface, its massive body shifted all its weight forward. In a brief moment, the hippo clamped down on the lion's head and thrashed violently. The confrontation ended as quickly as it began. The lion, fortunate to survive, retreated in a dazed state. Hyenas appear on the savanna with familiar confidence. They move in packs, listening to sounds, following scents, silently searching for opportunities. A single hyena isn't particularly conspicuous, but when together, they become patient and unpredictable. An adult spotted hyena weighs about 120 to 140 pounds. Its strong jaws allow it to exploit even the leftover food sources in nature. Hyenas are rarely in a hurry. They observe and test their limits, believing that numbers always bring an advantage. That confidence gradually pushes them into confrontation. A lioness is surrounded by a pack of hyenas. They advance step by step, applying pressure, forcing their opponent to be on the defensive. The atmosphere becomes tense. The sounds of the savanna subside for a few brief moments. Then the situation changed. This was lion territory. From the tall grass, the lions appeared just in time. The counterattack was swift and decisive. It didn't need to last long. The advantage immediately reversed. The hyena pack dispersed, scattering to avoid direct pressure. Their pack instincts caused them to regroup in an instant. A few individuals tried to regroup, attempting to pull their pack out of danger. But the overwhelming pressure didn't allow for any further delay. The hyenas were forced to retreat completely. In nature, survival isn't just about numbers or recklessness. It's decided in the moment when the balance of power clearly tips to one side. The rhinoceros emerges from the dry land with a slow but weighty gait. Its thick, armor-like skin envelops its body, weighing over 4,000 pounds. Its horns are not for ostentation, but to maintain a safe distance. Rhinoceros don't seek conflict. They live solitary lives, relying on stability to avoid unnecessary clashes. Most of the time, simply standing still is enough to deter any threat. But water always alters the order. As the rhinoceros approaches the riverbank, the natural boundary blurs. This is the hippopotamus's territory. From the water's surface, it emerges and moves closer, quickly compressing the space between the two species. The rhinoceros stops in a warning stance. The hippo responded with a show of force, its jaws wide open as a final warning. The tension lasted only a moment. Other rhinos appeared behind, instantly shifting the balance. The hippo slowed, then turned and retreated back into the deeper water. In nature, not every confrontation requires victory. Sometimes, knowing when to stop is the key to survival. In male elephants, there are periods when the body enters a state called must. This is when testosterone levels rise, lasting for weeks at a time. This change makes behavior more aggressive and difficult to control than usual. During must, male elephants are particularly sensitive to territory. They react strongly to the presence of rivals of the same sex. Confrontations can quickly become dangerous. On an open field, two male elephants meet. Ears spread wide, heads lowered, each step carrying immense weight. There's no need to charge immediately. Pressure builds from the distance. The struggle is tense. Heavy pushes test the endurance and steadfastness of each side. Neither wants to be the first to retreat. But over time, the disparity begins to become apparent. The younger elephant slows down its pace of attack. Then it retreated, slowly moving away from the confrontation area. The encounter ended without a chase. A timely decision brought the conflict to an end. In nature, knowing when to retreat is a victory for survival. The snake lay motionless on the warm ground, its body coiled in a waiting posture. It controlled the space with patience and venom, waiting for just one small mistake from its opponent. In the world of snakes, a well-timed bite is often enough to end the confrontation. That stillness was broken when the mongoose appeared. Small and close to the ground, it moved continuously at a speed of about 7 to 9 miles per hour. Never standing still, never hesitating, the mongoose disrupted the snake's waiting rhythm. The mongoose actively approached and provoked. Each counterattack from the snake was precisely dodged with agile forward and backward movements. The mongoose patiently prolonged the confrontation, forcing the snake to gradually lose its advantage. When the time was ripe, the mongoose lunged forward in a flash. A decisive bite aimed directly at the head or neck ends it all. The fight is over quickly, without prolongation. In nature, venom doesn't always determine the outcome. Sometimes speed, alertness, and the ability to control the pace are the deciding factors for survival. Confrontations between bears often stem from very basic reasons: territorial encroachment, food disputes, or mating rights during the breeding season. With female bears, the instinct to protect their young makes the boundaries even clearer. A single misstep can ignite tension. But most encounters don't last long. Statistics in nature show that about 87% of bear confrontations do not result in death. Only about 4 to 13% end in death. The main causes are size differences or severe injuries. Two brown bears stand facing each other. A growl rings out. Bodies lunge in a brief skirmish. There is no prolonged chase, just a test of strength and will. After a few tense moments, both began to back down. The risks became too great to outweigh the potential benefits. They both retreated in different directions. In nature, most conflicts end in compromise. Not every confrontation requires death to determine a winner. Sometimes, knowing when to stop is the key to maintaining balance. Leopards appear silently, almost dissolving into the darkness. Their bodies are compact and agile, accustomed to moving alone. A leopard's strength lies not in ostentation, but in its ability to choose the right moment. Hyenas, however, are different. They rarely act alone, always moving with the confidence of a group. Their persistence and tenacity make them a persistent source of pressure. The encounter begins when the leopard tries to reclaim its lost prey. It advances cautiously, seeking to regain its initial advantage. But the hyena holds its position, refusing to yield. The pressure builds as the hyena closes, gradually narrowing the space. The leopard chooses to retreat, maintaining distance and observing. Silence becomes its strategy. In the most tense moment, another leopard suddenly appears. It snatches a portion of the prey and disappears. The outcome is decided in a few short moments. Individual intelligence helps leopards survive. But in nature, the pack is the deciding factor. The moments captured show that nature doesn't operate in chaos, but within very clear boundaries. Each confrontation is a silent test, where strength, instinct, and choice coexist. Most encounters end with timely retreat rather than unnecessary loss. If you appreciate the authentic survival stories of the wild, subscribe to the channel to continue our journeys.